You know, Soul Eater is pretty damn cool. The characters are cool, the design is awesome, and it's a pretty enjoyable series. And I think in some cases it's pretty underrated. And sure, the ending is not fantastic, trust me, I've gone over that. But overall, I really recommend Soul Eater. So when I heard there was another series, I was really excited. I was really excited for Soul Eater.
Not!
Oh, wow. This is completely different. This is moe. This is comedic. This is not at all what I was expecting. But let's just dive into it. So yeah, Soul Eater Not is a little bit different. For starters, it's a prequel to Soul Eater, so a lot of the cast is a little bit different. For example, well, they're mostly in the background. Yeah, we have three new main characters, Sugumi, Mei, and Anya. Sugumi being, well, the mainest of them, I guess. We actually see that Sugumi has very little control over her weapon abilities, and that's why she's in the class she's in. The class, which is a class for people who either don't have partners yet, or are trying to control their powers. Immediately, I'm kind of interested. At the beginning of Soul Eater, everybody kind of knew what they were doing. It's nice to see that there are different layers to this, and that even if you don't start off super strong, you can get better. I like that. Heck, I even like that Sugumi actually has a family back home, which seems kind of odd because at least in the anime, a lot of the characters just sort of showed up. We don't get that much background into what their lives were like before all this weapon stuff started happening, at least in some cases. Sugumi is pretty timid actually. She has no control over her powers, she's not very confident, but that does change a little bit once she meets Maka. She wants to be more like her in some areas, and it's really cool to see that Maka has this effect on somebody. It's just unfortunate that Maka's not really in this series all that much, but for what it's worth, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Next is Mei. Mei is a kind of airheaded type character. She doesn't remember anything, like seriously, she forgets just about everything. I can relate to that. But she's very friendly and kind to people. But she's also prone to making a lot of mistakes, which happens a lot as the series progresses. Lastly, there's Anya, this royal tsundere type character. And you guys know by this point, tsunderes are not my favorite characters. Not that they're all horrible, but just the trope is very overdone. But in all honesty, I think she may have been my favorite character of the series. You get the feeling that even though she is a tsundere, she does grow to really care about the people around her. And the fact that even though she's shy about it, she knows that they're loyal to her, too. It's actually a better development than most characters I've seen in a minute. And I'm gonna be honest, even though she seems like she's not too popular in the fanbase, like I said, I actually really like her. I thought she was cool. But like I said, they're in the Not class, while everybody else is in the Eat class, everybody else being our favorite characters from Soul Eater. So let's get back into this. Yeah, the show is very cutesy. It's much more of a slice of life type show than an action show. And don't get me wrong, there is action, but it really doesn't take the focus, and I can understand why a lot of people weren't into that. Not to mention, Soul Eater's more gothic style is one of the more beloved styles in anime, and I think it's really cool. So to go from that to a more cutesy type show, I can definitely understand why people really wouldn't be into this, and trust me, it's hard to get through sometimes. The main trio usually run into two other characters, Akane and Clay, who claim to be students of the Not class, but in actuality, they're graduates of the Eat class, and they tend to be doing some pretty shady stuff. Shady in a good way, but still shady stuff. What's not all that good is just the idea that it seems like at times there's a romance teased between Akane and Sugumi. It's really weird, and sure, nothing ever comes of it, but it's just kind of uncomfortable at times. Then again, Blair flirted with just about every other guy in the original Soul Eater, whether they were her age or not, so hooray for double standards, I guess? Never mind. One thing that Soul Eater Not actually does a lot better than the original Soul Eater is giving it side characters stuff to do. For example, we learn that Kim is a witch, and she really doesn't get along with anybody in this show. And the fact that Jacqueline is doing everything in her power to actually befriend Kim is really sweet, alongside the rest of the cast trying to help her out. Although granted, I know it's part of the story, but Kim comes across a little too harsh at times. Like, seriously, I don't remember her and Jacqueline doing really anything in the original series, But if she was gonna act this way the whole time, I'm kinda glad they didn't. Although it is sweet to see in some cases that Ox actually regularly stands up for Kim. We didn't really get moments like this in the original Soul Eater. It would more or less just focus on the main cast and what they were doing. So it's nice to see that some of the side characters actually got some development and love. Granted, they could have given a little more to my boy Killick Rung, but I'll never get over that. But yeah, back with the main cast, Tsugumi's main goal throughout the series seems to be picking a partner. She's a weapon, she needs a Meister, and throughout the series she has to decide between Mei and Anya, and she doesn't really get any closer until they finally call her out for it in a pretty satisfying scene. They give her until Halloween to decide. Now, some people might complain that they came across a little harsh with this, but I actually disagree, considering the life or death situations that can happen in this show, especially one that happens early on by a brainwashed person. It actually makes sense that they need to decide who's going to work with who early on, so they can build up that trust and camaraderie. I actually really appreciate the scene, and it shows a good side of Tsugumi deciding that she will decide at some point. They also regularly water pumpkins together for some reason, and they sing a song about it. No, seriously, the song actually has some amount of plot relevance. Seriously, listen to it. It's not nearly as iconic as Blair's pumpkin song from the original anime.
Pum, 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 I always get what I want, just give it to me. Pum, 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 I'm a beautiful, pretty lady.
But I don't feel nearly as dirty listening to it, considering what's going on, so that's a step up, I guess. Now, some of you may be wondering, is there a villain to this series? Well, yes it is. And her name, Shala Gorgon. Oh, great. Another hot, evil Gorgon sister. How many of them are there at this point? She seemingly wants to cause chaos by brainwashing people into doing her bidding. I wanted to really like her, and to some extent I do, but with all the slice of life episodes and the moe moments, you kind of forget that there is a villain and that she is a threat. The pacing of the series really feels unfocused. Like I've said with Soul Eater could have been a 150 episode anime, while I feel like Soul Eater Not could have been, 24, maybe even a 51 episode anime. Neither of the shows feel long enough for what they want to tell in terms of the story, and it kind of hurts both series. But anyways, Shala. Pretty cool design, pretty cool character, not nearly as fun as Medusa, but a lot better than Lady Arachnid in my opinion. Like, seriously, she was lame. But I think my favorite episode might be the Liz and Patty episode. You really just see what Liz and Patty were like before Kid came into their lives and the rest of the students. They were criminals, they were vagrants, and we get this scene very early in an episode that just shows what Patty's life would have been like if she had started having a happy life. The life that Liz wanted for her. It's a really touching yet heartbreaking fantasy, and it just shows just how much Liz has kind of taken a motherly role for Patty. We didn't get stuff like this in the original series, so I have to give props to it. I'm sorry. I can't just say Soul Eater Not is just some mediocre show that didn't do anything good. This is compelling stuff. Granted, we also get scenes of Liz and Patty as waitresses at Deathbox Cafe, and it goes about as well as you'd expect for the two of them. And they also go up against our main trio and smack them as you'd expect. Seriously, they embarrass the main trio, which kind of makes sense. They're not used to fighting yet. Anya in particular gets pretty harsh with them, and a lot of fans seem to jump on Anya for this. Though to be fair, if some waitresses were harassing me, I probably would have to stand up for myself too. Look, we all love Liz and Patty, that's for sure, but we don't have to condone what they did early on. But of course, thanks to Tsugumi's kindness and some growth, she actually becomes friends with Liz and Patty, and it actually does shine some light on them. This is what I like to see. The main trio, while not fully connected with the main cast of Soul Eater, are finding ways of affecting them and making their lives feel better. I like that. We also get a scene where Tsugumi ends up meeting Death the Kid. Oh, shut up. Just stop. Shut up. Let's just move on. Anyways, very brief scene, normal kid stuff. I will say though, for a prequel, we could have gotten more. Sure, we see that Sid is still alive and not completely zombified yet, but there's a lot of missing characters, and it honestly kind of hurts, especially since some of those characters were very beloved. A lot of our favorites are missing. No Lord Death, no Spirit, no Erica, no Free, no Krona's hot mom. A lot of characters are missing, and I can definitely understand where people don't really want to give the show a chance. Trust me, it's hard to get through, like I've said before. But you also get some pretty solid character development. Throughout the series, Sugumi gets a bit more assertive, Anya gets a bit nicer with her tsundere tendencies, and towards the end we learn just why Mei has really, really bad memory issues, and an actually pretty decent plot twist that actually coincides with the main story and the main villain. It's really, really frustrating because you get moments like these that really make you proud to have watched the series, with some wholesome moments, some cool action, some solid character development, and then you just get a lot of scenes where it just feels like the girls are flirting with each other, and it doesn't really feel all that tasteful. And rather than taking it seriously and maybe forging a pretty cool relationship, it just feels like a bunch of fan service moments. There's a good chunk of scene that's just the girls hanging out in the baths and trying to get Kim to notice Jacqueline. In a more rom-com or comedic series, this could work, but when you're trying to connect yourself to Soul Eater, it really just comes across like you might not understand what you're doing. So you might be asking, is there anything about Soul Eater Not that's definitively better than Soul Eater? Yes, the ending. The ending feels so much better in terms of the anime. There's drama, there's stakes. It doesn't necessarily feel like as much of a cop-out at the end of the day. Sure, the Soul Eater ending is a lot better upon a rewatch, but the Not ending, in my opinion, just feels a lot more climactic and heartfelt. The stakes feel higher, a lot more stuff feels wrapped up at the end, and a lot of the side characters actually do feel like they're doing stuff. Sure, sometimes it doesn't look like things are going well for them, but I at least feel like we get to see them more often than not. We get to see Ox and just how much he's doing. We get to see Kim and Jacqueline fighting. We get to see the girls of their dorm fighting off and in some cases losing to the villain. It's cool to see, but in the end, they save the day, and the main trio decide that they're going to stick together. Well, more specifically, Sugumi decides that she's going to have both Anya and Mei as her meisters. Kind of a cliche ending and pretty much what you'd expect, but just because something's predictable doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. So yeah, Soul Eater Not is kind of tough to grade for me. On the one hand, a lot of the moe cutesy stuff really didn't sit well for me, and it really just disconnects it from Soul Eater in some cases. Not to mention, some of the characters, Kim in particular, can get kind of on your nerves. On the other hand, like I said, a lot of the side characters in the original Soul Eater series really didn't get that much to do, like Kim, Jacqueline, and Ox, so it's nice to see them get some shine in this show, rather than just the main cast, who I do love, but they already have their own series. They didn't necessarily need to be the main focal point of this side series. The action can really take a backseat, but when it starts to pick up, it actually gets good. It actually gets interesting. We want to see what these characters go through. And sure, these characters aren't nearly as interesting as the main cast, but they're all likable in their own ways, and you can tell that they have a really strong bond of friendship. Like I said, this is a really tough series for me to grade, kind of like the original Soul Eater in my opinion. Do I think it's nearly as good as the original Soul Eater? No. Do I think it's kind of a cash grab at times? Yes. Some moments that are a little too cutesy? Definitely. But I can't hate Soul Eater Not. A lot of the characters are really fun, the action can be cool, the drama is nice, and we get some good stuff. Ultimately, I definitely recommend at least giving it a chance. I don't think I'm ever going to meet someone who likes Soul Eater Not more than the original, but I think I can tell them it's a pretty fun ride. Plus, the biggest upside to Soul Eater Not, there's no Excalibur.
Fool!
He is lame. But what did you guys think of Soul Eater Not? Did you think it was just a cash grab, or did you actually enjoy it? And to anyone who actually enjoyed Soul Eater Not more than the original Soul Eater, just let me know. And is the manga any good? Just tell me. Put it in the comments, any thoughts you have. Let me know. Appreciate you guys watching this far, so be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you next time. This has been Alex of the Anime Egotists saying, Sugumi, I like you. I really do. But please calm down with the baseball talk. Seriously, she will talk your ear off about it if you let her.